morning, all. Suburban Sentinel here, coming to you once again from deep inside the Arabian Peninsula, and another fun little factoid about the kingdom. Gasoline. The price of gasoline here is the equivalent of about 55 cents a gallon. In other words, as far as gasoline prices, welcome back to 1972. Now, I don't commute or drive all that far. I probably drive maybe 100 miles a week, and I spend on average the equivalent of $6 a week on gasoline. So that's my fun little fact of the week. I'd like to spend a little bit of time this morning talking about some gun legislation that was submitted to the legislature in the great state of South Carolina. Now, I understand what the legislator who submitted the bill was trying to do. It is obviously a pro-gun piece of legislation, and the essential terms is that in every public school, I guess at a certain level, Second Amendment education would be mandatory. In addition, the course material would have to be approved by the National Rifle Association. To me, it's pretty clear that the unstated intent of this proposed legislation is to help lure gun manufacturers and gun retailers away from nanny anti-gun states like my home state of Connecticut, New York, and California to set up shop in South Carolina. And I think that intention is great. God bless them. I hope South Carolina gets a lot of the manufacturers. However, in my opinion, I do not believe that this proposed legislation is the way to go. In point of fact, I think that this legislation would be counterproductive. So I'm against having this mandatory education. Now, I am certainly not against the Second Amendment. I am as pro-Second Amendment as anybody else out there, and I'm not against Second Amendment education. I believe that this bill, if it is considered by the general legislature, will backfire. So let's take a look at why. In any politically divisive issue such as gun rights, there are three basic camps. You have those who are fervently in favor of something, like we are in favor of Second Amendment rights. You have those who are fervently against those rights, such as the anti-gunners. Oh, guns are bad, guns are evil, no guns. Those two camps. But most people, and I mean most Americans, fall somewhere in the middle. They don't have strong opinions either way. They may have a slight preference one way or the other, or some opinions one way or the other, but the bottom line is that in their lives, they have bigger fish to fry. When it comes to taking public opinion on a divisive piece of legislation, it is that vast majority in the middle who don't favor one side or another strongly that matters the most. Like, for example, here on gun rights, you will never convince pro-Second Amendment people that having gun education in any form is bad. Likewise, we will never convince those who are strictly and fervently anti-gun that having any type of gun education in the public schools is a good thing. Therefore, any public relations efforts have to be concentrated or focused square in the middle on those folks who don't feel strongly one way or the other. Pitching Second Amendment education to pro-gun people is simply preaching to the choir. Likewise, pitching Second Amendment education to the anti-gunners, you might as well be talking to a concrete wall. In order to gain widespread public support on a divisive issue, we have to focus on the middle. And the problem with this proposed legislation It does not target the middle. It is, in essence, preaching to the choir. The problems with this bill, as I see it, are threefold. First, it is very narrow. It only addresses the Second Amendment of the Bill of Rights. Problem number two is that the coursework would be mandatory. I don't believe that the bill has an opt-out provision, so every child, even those who have parents who are fervently anti-gun, would be required to take the class. And the third problem, at least as I see it, is that the curricula would have to be approved by the NRA. Now, I like and support the NRA. It is one of my favorite organizations. However, the NRA is certainly not an unbiased organization. It is pro-gun through and through, and I thank God for them. But having them included in designing a school curriculum certainly raises red flags. The anti-gun people can and will use this piece of proposed legislation against Second Amendment supporters. They will go to the ambivalent middle, the majority of the voters, and say, look at these gun nuts. They want to use our public schools and a private lobbying organization to indoctrinate our children into their pro-gun crazy mentality. Again, I am certainly not anti-Second Amendment, nor am I anti-Second Amendment education. What I am is anti-stupidity. When it comes to influencing public opinion and legislation, we have to be smart about it. Rather than this bill, I think a better way to go would be to make all of the public schools teach constitutional law. That is, have every public school student cover the entire Constitution, including all 10 amendments in the Bill of Rights. Rather than having the curriculum approved by a private lobbying organization, set up a structure whereby the curriculum and the instruction would be as neutral and apolitical as possible. That way the anti-gun people can't complain that the system is biased against their personal opinions. So there are my 2 cents on the proposed South Carolina mandatory gun education program. Of course, we all want to keep, defend, and support our Second Amendment rights, but let's do it in an intelligent manner. Thanks for watching. This is the Suburban Sentinel. Please thumbs up and subscribe if you like what you see. Questions, enlightening comments, and differing opinions are always welcome. Shoot safely, everybody.